the river. However, all pipes, if the way hydraulics works, a pipe has a certain capacity based on its size and its slope, right? So it carries a flow. If you exceed that flow, it can't carry it, so it backs up.
Okay. Another thing is, I think we're forgetting that the tenants that live here are probably the most important people that actually are in the area. I dare hear you say something like, while you guys are building, you don't expect the rain to come in and mess up what you're doing. Well, this guy lives there, and the rain got into his house from, whether it was you guys that caused it, whatever that caused it. He doesn't know. He just sees you guys working. He sees the rain coming, and then it goes in his house. So to make a comment like that, don't think it's good. Also, like I said, when that stuff does happen, there's other things that do happen within that. I seen about 4 or 5 cars speed up my block from not wanting to go into the area of the flooding, which was, not good. I got 4 kids, one of them which is blind, can't see. We don't have a blind sign outside, which is, I really want to get one. But like I said, the cars, when the flood was happening, they didn't go straight and turn because obviously they couldn't. So they speeded up the one way. First, they went all the way up from Depot. Some of them would turn and come back around, and then if they come over the track, they'll see that they can go straight, and some of them will even turn up that way. And that's also not good too, because we got a lot of kids on that block. And like I said, one of my kids are blind, and I have infants. So like I said, if you guys can do a little better with getting the information out to guys. And like I said, with you saying all the rain and stuff, I was lost the whole time, man. I really didn't understand nothing you was talking about. We just was trying to figure out, what it is that you can do to fix it. And, if you can stop it from happening again before August or September when you guys say that you can get it fixed. That's pretty much it.
And thank you appreciate you coming up and speaking. Thanks for the comments. And reach out to the borough about the sign.
Chris, come see me about the blind sign.
Right
here, right.
And on, folks. So go ahead, Tony, please.
We'll get an answer if we can accelerate some of that work.
Okay.
We get that done.
Okay.
I just want people to point out that there was an incident before we ever filled this start.
If you're to the mic, if you can, yeah.
I just want to point, I look back through our records. On September 6th of 2022, before we started filling the site, there was a rain event that had water topping the curb at Front and Depot, and the water had filled all the way down to where Anderson Drive is now cut in at the bottom of Depot Street. So on a rain event where there was no fill, because we only started filling at Labor Day, there was a little bit of a pile coming in down at the far end. This has happened before. It's just, and I recognize how traumatic it is. If you've ever had floodwater in your basement, it's very upsetting. A house, first floor.
Let alone first floor, yeah.
It's a problem.
Let everybody have an opportunity to speak.
I just want them to know we'll get out to there this week and address that and get back to Ed on Thursday or Friday.
Thank you, sir. Yes, please.
I think you guys are trying to freeze us out over in that corner. It's like 65 degrees. Mike Sen, family has properties on 2nd Street. Was there a public meeting for the project?
There were probably 5 or 6 or more.
I was going to say a dozen.
So were notices sent out to residents?
No, we did what we are required to do and advertise it and publish the agenda. That's done according to the Borough Code.
And what is that, if you could explain that real quick? How did you let people know? Because I asked several times, and they said, no, nothing's been approved yet. Nothing's been approved yet. And then all of a sudden,
I don't know
it's
how
like,
that
it's
could
all
be.
approved.
The agenda is advertised prior to every meeting and posted at the Borough Hall, and that's what the Borough Code requires.
So where's it advertised? At the Borough Hall?
And on. It's posted on the front door of Borough Hall. It's posted on our borough website, and it's posted on social media, Facebook.
And many of those meetings were during COVID, so a lot of them were streamed online as well and recorded. Actually, I think, and our meetings now have been recorded. So
Yeah, I mean, you're going to find that there's a dozen meetings.
Yeah.
That's not going to be a good
Yeah, I'm
avenue
sure there
for you
were
to pursue.
meetings, but I didn't receive any information that there was a meeting. And I asked several times with different.
They're
people who
twice a
work
month.
for them.
Who did you ask?
I don't want to say names. I mean, all right, so we were notified if we walked in here or if we were on the Facebook.
Or you read the paper?
What paper?
Actually, sir, the meetings, our meeting dates, this council meeting, these dates are all published at the beginning of the year. We actually passed that by ordinance. So
Yeah.
that's all, they're all available on the website, they're available on social media, and in fact, they're standing second and fourth Tuesdays of the month, with the exception of the summer when we do the third Tuesday, which is tonight.
Yeah, I know that there's public meetings.
Yep, and those are the meetings where we discussed all of this.
In other towns, I've received mail that says, this person's going to go for a variance.
That would be for a variance in front of the zoning hearing board, which is a separate legal entity. It's not the borough. It's the borough zoning hearing board.
So I didn't receive anything on that.
And you are required to receive something under the borough code for a ZHB hearing. You are not required to receive a mailing for a public hearing.
If you live within the designated radius of notification.
If a property that I own is, correct?
For a zoning hearing meeting.
Right, so I
not
didn't
for a
receive
borough
anything.
meeting.
I'm confused.
So
as to
you
whether-
should not, no, don't be confused.
So-
Let's clear it up.
All right, let's
You
do it.
should not have received anything for a borough meeting. And you didn't
I'm
because
not saying
you should not
strictly a
have.
borough meeting. I'm saying when they were going for a variance, when they were talking about this project. I didn't receive anything, and I asked several times.
You should not get notice of anything that transpires here
Okay, so
individually.
I didn't, so I guess that's
That's
normal.
right, so you're correct. You didn't receive it, and you shouldn't have received
All right,
it.
I thought that I should.
I'm suggesting to you that you take a look at that, trust me for the
Let's
purpose
move
of
on.
tonight, and move on to something, because you're incorrect about this.
Well, you corrected
You're
me.
incorrect about the requirement that you should receive a mailing. You don't receive a mailing for a borough meeting.
I'll take your word for it. Thank you. That's what I. So obviously, I mean, the weather is, it's predictably unpredictable, right? Before, if there was a stormwater that overflowed those sewer storms, there wouldn't have been a 30-acre berm. If it overflowed, it wouldn't have been holding back. It would have gone down to the river that was only at, 8 foot. Right? I mean, so obviously there's some issues that make it, that's where people are pretty upset, I think. I guess, like, who's taking responsibility for the damage caused by this past storm? Is anyone stepping up and saying, okay, it's our fault? We're gonna compensate people for the damage, or is that? That's a question. I'm sorry. I found it make that clear. I guess to everyone sitting here, whoever would like to answer would be great. You were responding before, so I figured you're.
No, it was a legal
both
issue
you guys.
before. It was a legal issue
That's
before.
fine,
And
legal
this
issue.
may, and
That
this may
sounds
be
like
a legal issue. Well,
Is someone taking up and saying, it's our fault, we're taking responsibility, let us know what damages has
on behalf of the
occurred.
borough, we are not taking responsibility for this.
No,
We're
that's what I'm
taking
saying.
we're taking responsibility for
somebody.
the development and the approvals of the development. We are not taking responsibility at this particular moment with regard to any damage to anybody. Unless you can come and demonstrate how the borough damaged the property, then we would certainly listen.
So I see this construction site, I took a look around.
I don't mean to interrupt you. We
And
did talk about 3 minutes.
so-
We've been back and forth a bit, but we'll give it another minute and let's try to wrap it up. And we'll respond as best we can.
Okay, thank you. Is other construction sites, a lot of times there's like a silt fence that goes around the construction zone. I went down around certain spots and I saw no silt fence at the lower areas. Is that something that should be in place? When I was there the other day during the storm, I saw, besides for the sewer storms coming up, I saw mud coming off, no silt fence. It just comes right through. And then it came up backwards, and it seemed like a mess. I guess that would be a question for the developer. I don't know if
Would you like to speak to that, please?
come on in. Yeah, come on. Mike's on.
Mike, nice to meet you.
Come on in, buddy.
So there is an ENS plan, and all of our perimeter controls are on what's called the LOD, which is the limit of disturbance. as required by DEP for that plan. All the inlets that are discharging have inlet protection to them. So the fact that you see mud running across an open field or down a road that's being constructed doesn't mean that there's a violation. What it means is that that water is channeled to an area, which is the sedimentation basin right alongside of Depot near the bottom. That's the basin that holds our muddy water from our site that your CSO system discharges. So we have those controls in place.
I happen to know you're correct about that, but could you answer the gentleman's question specifically?
We do have our controls as required by plan, and we modify them as we construct. If there, something could have gotten blown out. Or
So
damaged,
with
but
regard to
yes.
a silt fence?
So no silt fence is required?
There wasn't silt fence on the plan for that area. There was silt stock and other inlet protection in that area. But silt fence would not have stopped rainwater either.
Right.
I was just asking if it was a requirement.
Yeah, but we have a plan that we have to follow, and that's inspected regularly.
By who?
The borough, us, we have to maintain stormwater logs, and also DEP, Montgomery County Conservation District, has been out to the site numerous times.
Thanks, Mr. Myers.
That's all my questions. Thank you for personally answering it.
Appreciate it, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming up.
Thank you.
All right, folks. We still are in public comment. If anybody would like to come up, ask a question. I saw Ms. Pat walk out. I'm disappointed. Yeah, Jeff.
How you doing? Jeff Spire, 127 2nd Street. So when does that dump, that catchment, I thought it was a basin, but you're saying it's a pipe, like 54, 60 inches wide? At
Yes,
what
sir.
point does that flood out into the Schuylkill? Like usually I see them where they get to a certain level and then they dump over. What point does that happen?
There's a 24-inch dry weather interceptor that runs basically down Front Street. That handles all the water that comes out of your homes during a dry day, right? So everything comes out of your kitchens, your restrooms, anything, your washers dry, the washers in your home, run into that pipe, run down to the River Road pump station, get lifted to the plant. During a rain event, there are overflows from that 24-inch pipe into the 54 and 60-inch pipe. And remember, gravity sewers are just what they are. They flow by gravity, right? So closer to DeKalb Street, the elevation of the pipe is higher. Closer to the River Road pumping station, it's lower. So all the flow runs down there. There's a gate at the end of that 60-inch that's closed in a dry day. When the rain starts and gets to an intensity that it overflows that 24-inch pipe over into the 54, 60-inch pipe, that'll fill up to an elevation that will not flood homes and release into the river.
Okay, so that will, when it hits that certain point,
That's correct.
How long is that anyway? Just wondering. How long is that?
Approximately 4,000 feet.
Oh, wow, that's pretty long. All right, let me see. I'm just going to try to go through here. So, developer was talking about the backflow. Currently, how is that going into the Schuylkill? Is there backflow, I'm assuming, on there? And how high above the Schuylkill are those pipes, those inlets?
They are significantly above the normal water level of the river. I've seen, I've been around a long time. You can tell by the gray hair. I've seen Agnes. I stood at front and, at 4th and Depot in 72 and watch Agnes flood this borough, right? Okay. And I saw Floyd in 99. You all experienced it if you were living here, so you also know it. I grew up on 4th Street, so I've seen them all. And there are events that when the river gets to an elevation that those pipes are flooded, all bets are off, right? But there are valves, as Mr. Maris had mentioned. There's backflow preventers that prevent the river from coming up. What they don't do, however, is allow the water to get out, right? So eventually the water will start backing up inlets, backing out, popping manhole covers, things like that.
That's when it meets the height of it.
Correct. When and it's all gravity, right? So if the water's here and the manhole's here,
Yeah.
guess what? It's going to overflow, or the inlet's here, it's going to overflow.
Okay. And then currently, right now, everything going down there, that is not connected to development? Or how is that? Because they're putting an all new, because as they stated, we're combined now. And
Correct.
he's doing sewer water only that'll, I guess, just let right out to the Schuylkill.
Storm sewer, correct.
Just a
The
storm
sanitary will not, right.
So is that just bypassing him, or is he tying into that going up, or they're not connected right now, right? like the current?
The borough's combined sewer system will not be interconnected to this development's storm sewer system. However, as Mr. Maris mentioned, that in some of those locations down at the lower ends, at where Depot is and below front, right down there, the new development will have separate inlets that will collect rainwater that currently gets into the combined system.
Okay.
So, and then there will be separate discharges to the river that will be only that. So the intent of the design, the intent of the permits issued by FEMA, by the state, and by the local conservation districts is to improve that when it's built, right? Improve the situation down there. There are events, listen, you know, there are storm events that nothing's going to work.
Yeah.
Anywhere, any place, right? You know, I work for Radnor Township. Cars were floating on North Wayne Avenue during that same event.
Okay.
So.
I guess that's it. All right, that's it. That's what I was wondering. Is there a map of that too? The sewage, like anywhere that anyone could access, like as far as the current?
Sure, there's mapping. I don't know what the borough has, but I certainly have it. If the borough doesn't have it, we can certainly get copies for people.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Jeff. All right, folks. Yep. Name and address, please. No, into the microphone, please. Into the microphone.
Colin Sen, 107 Second. What am I going to say? If these inlets fail, you guys won't accept the damages? You guys won't fix damages? No.
I don't understand the comment, inlets fail. I don't.
Like if the inlet's going down to the Schuylkill? If
The-
they fail,
I don't understand the word fail.
like if not enough water can get down?
Every inlet in the United States of America has a capacity to it, right?
Yeah.
So they are designed based on whether it's state or local standards, right, to handle certain storm events. There are certain events that no pipe and no inlet can handle that are acts of God, and I don't have that power.
So you guys put a hill in the way?
A hill? I don't
Yeah,
understand.
development.
There is a development being constructed on the riverfront, yes, sir.
That's all I have to say. I'm disappointed in the development.
Thank you, sir. All right, folks. Can you keep it to 60 seconds? All right, come on. Put the microphone, please.
So next time this happens, someone may want to send out an email. That's why I called you today. I was just going to say that to you. Just so, because I think it was building up for like weeks and people were wondering what was going on. There was no like explanation, I think. And it was, oh, what's this? What's going on here? What's this here? And I was under the impression it was like a one-off thing, perfect storm. No pun intended. But
Jeff, what do you mean when you say next time this happens?
well, hopefully it doesn't happen.
You mean,
But I'm just saying,
do you mean
like,
next time we have a meeting to discuss a bad flood, or next time it floods?
I guess you could say anything. Anything to this magnitude where I guess there's a lot of rumblings going around and people getting annoyed and just send out an email.
So Jeff, to you and any audience members, we earlier this year just spent good money on a system called Notify. We sent out postcards to every property in town, every apartment,
Oh, no,
every
not
home.
That. Not that I'm not talking about. I'm just
Well,
saying.
that is that sends out voicemail, SMS, text.
I think,
and email
Mr.
when
Truman,
it's-
I think he's talking about the
Just
follow-up.
Like an explanation.
Oh,
after
I'm
the
sorry. You
incident.
mean
follow-up.
You mean developments?
Yeah, no.
I'm sorry, Jeff. All
like-
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's
It
a,
was like a big thing because I
Yeah.
think what happens is a lot of people were like, what's going on? And obviously tonight answered a lot of questions, but when you're leading up into a week to it and there's people that have suffered like a lot of hardship, maybe giving them like a little bit, well, this happened, kind of like ease tensions a little bit. I just wanted to say that.
sure, just
Yeah.
I would encourage everybody to come to council meetings and reach out. I walk around all the time. I know other council members walk around all the time. I knock on doors. I really encourage people to come speak to me. And every single time someone says something to me, Keith hates me. I send him at least 4 or 5 texts a day with questions that I field immediately on time. It's government. Things take time. So that's something that I'm always frustrated by. But if you see me walking around, you have something to say and you have, a question, stop me. If not, come to council. We're here twice a month. we're here very frequently. We're always welcoming people to speak, and I can speak, here and back there. Everybody's always fighting for everyone. We live here too. We experience some of these things, and it's devastating what you're talking about. I can't imagine like pulling all of my stuff from the basement every single time something happens, and electronics and stuff like that. So we hear you, but I think what's really beneficial to me and what I've been able to kind of experience with what's happening now is they're doing better. Like, so without them, we had more water in our system. With them, we have less water in the system. That's really the only calculation I like to hear, is like there is less water that we have to deal with once this is all said and done. So ultimately, it's great. Rain is rain. We can't control, as you mentioned, how much rain comes down. Unfortunately, global warming is a thing. But yeah, I definitely encourage you guys to come down here and speak to us, because we'd love to see people coming down, and we definitely will address what we can when we can. As far as an email, sending it specifically to you guys, I don't know if that can be worked out, Mr.
Yeah,
Truman, but
just to add to that, if I might.
No, go ahead.
I would invite you to call the borough or email the borough. I could tell you that there is not a call or an email that doesn't get circulated to these professionals and to the staff that gets ignored. So it may be better for you to reach out to the borough rather than the borough reach out to you, because, who knows what you're expecting to get discussed.
Yeah.
Like, for example, there are people here who obviously had some serious damage.
Yeah.
The majority didn't.
Yeah.
So how do we know who experienced what? But certainly we would welcome them reaching out to us.
Yeah. I wasn't even talking about myself. Like, I'm coming from this from a different direction, but I just heard like it was kind of like somebody said this and somebody said this, somebody said this, it was kind of like if everyone put it right in there and kind of sent it out as like this is what happened, clarification, that's all.
The nice thing at these meetings, and look, I actually, nobody likes to be here till 10 o'clock, but I learned a good bit tonight just going through this conversation. I hope some other folks did. Yeah, it is. So having our professionals here, we pay these people good money, probably not enough for the work they do and the knowledge they have. So it's not that was for you guys. So having everybody here at once, and you got, I probably overstated by saying a brain trust, but you got some people that know what they're talking about. So this is where we can really hammer some of it out. But I'll leave that there. But thank you, Jeff. Appreciate your comment. Yeah.
Because it could have alleviated some of this stuff.
And one last thing. I know that in the past, Mr. Maris, you have sent updates about the development. You had the drone footage that we put on social media and on our website. So you've handled that. If between now and the next meeting we have here, which is the third Tuesday in August because it's summertime, and later when there's improvements that we want to share, we can put that on our social media, Keith, and share that with the public. And I know that all of you are on social and can see that.
As soon as I have that update, it'll be Thursday afternoon or Friday morning, I'll share with Mr. Truman and Mr. Woyden, and there might be some logistical hurdles. We'll work those out, and we'll give a timetable to it. Yes.
Thanks, Heather. Yep. Thanks, Tony. Yes, Miss Pat, of course. I'm going to start the clock. Usually I hear her get it all out real fast and real loud, so.
All right, my name is Pat Murphy, and I live at 119 Second Street. Who cleans the sewers?
The inlets?
Let me tell you what.
That's, yeah, well, go ahead.
With this rain weather, I was worried about the river. I walked down there constantly, and you saw the falls, the whites of the falls, still. Didn't know anything about this until 7 o'clock at night that happened down on Depot. We walked down there at 7 o'clock at night. Stones, mud, debris were all in front of the sewers, all over on the sidewalks. So the next day, I walked down and checked every darn sewer from 2nd Street all the way down to Front Street. Who cleans them out? They're filled to the brim.
Where are they filled to the brim, Ms. Murphy?
Alley on 2nd. Ours are fine.
All right, now are you saying inside the pipe or covering up the grate?
In the sewer drain itself. The grate, if you look down there, you can see the pipe. Ours are fine on 2nd Street. You go down to the alley. You know the alley?
Cherry down there, yeah.
The alley.
By Brian's shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the alley on 2nd Street. Before his two homes. Okay.
Cherry Alley.
Yeah, the alley. That debris is filled to the grate. Dirt, stones, and whatnot. Who cleans them? Then the ones down below on both sides of the street, you can see the holes, but there's so much debris in them. Who cleans them?
We get them jetted periodically, Miss Murphy. As a matter of fact, we spent probably over 80 grand last year in video recording and jetting and cleaning those lines.
So much dirt and mud and stones in them.
And that is the ongoing maintenance and complications involved with having a combined storm sewer system.
Then we
Yeah.
have more to worry about besides the river then, right?
Thank you, Ms. Pat. We'll make sure somebody comes down and checks out the inlets this week. Thanks, Ms. Pat. Folks, still public comment? Going once, going twice? All right, thank you. Mr. Truman.
Motion to
Motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
All right, it's